Hello, everybody, and welcome to From the Mezzanine, the Broadway podcast for the Broadway fans. Here we talk about all things Broadway news, Broadway Grosses, and let's be honest, all of the tea and gossip that happens week to week in the Broadway stratosphere. And today we have something to celebrate because this episode that you are listening to right now marks 3 years of From the Mezzanine. Guys, 3 years. And I love to reflect and just look back on how far we've come and all of the amazing opportunities I've had since starting From the Mezzanine. And I say to myself all the time, thank God for that girl who started From the Mezzanine 3 years ago. Because if it were not for her, so many, honestly, the trajectory of my life would be completely different. I may not have moved to New York City. I may not have had the opportunity to speak to so many Broadway stars that I adore. I may not have, definitely actually have not had the opportunity to see as much Broadway as I've seen since starting From the Mezzanine, moving to the city. And also, I wouldn't have known all of my amazing Broadway besties. And I made so many amazing friends in New York as well. And it's just insane the impact that this little podcast has had on my entire life. And it's all thanks to that girl on July 4th in 2022 on a Tuesday when she released the first episode of From the Mezzanine. And the show has evolved so much over the years. So many of you guys, my Broadway besties, have been with From the Mezzanine since those early days when there was a very, very small pool of us. And now I feel like we've grown. I run into you guys regularly. Anytime I'm in the theater district, I always meet a new amazing Broadway bestie. And that warms my heart. It really does. And every time I meet you guys, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're so cute. They're so nice. They're so friendly. They're so fun. And the Broadway besties are just the best. And so thank you guys for supporting From the Mezzanine for 3 years or for 3 weeks, however long you've been here. I'm so happy that you're here, and I'm so excited to celebrate 3 years with you guys. I did a really fun little surprise thing that will be posted on Instagram and TikTok and probably my website as well that you guys will see soon, just to kind of commemorate this milestone. And doing a podcast for 3 years, it's not easy. It is really, really hard. It's so fun and rewarding in so many ways, but it has definitely been very difficult because the Broadway besties who have been there for the long time, y'all know I've never, ever skipped a week of From the Mezzanine. I have put out an episode come hell or high water, no matter what was going on. I've moved, I've gone on vacation, I've done all of these things, and I still put out an episode every single week for you guys because that's my commitment. And I feel like now that I'm at the 3-year mark, I feel good and I feel comfortable. And I think I used to be so scared that if I ever missed a week of From the Mezzanine, I would never come back to it. And maybe in those early days, once I realized how hard having a podcast was, maybe in those early days, that would have been the case. But now it's I'm pretty sure I'm going to be doing From the Mezzanine for forever. And it'll always just be my fun side hobby, creative outlet. And I love it so much. With that being said, I think I am taking a week off from the Mezzanine because 3 years in, your girl needs a vacation. And I am going to go on vacation with my family in July, but I will let you guys know once I finally make that decision because I'm do I really want to miss a week? I feel so proud of myself saying I've never missed a week for 3 years. But you know what? I think it's safe to say I'll definitely come back to From the Mezzanine, and I don't think all the Broadway besties are going to forget about me if I take 1 week off. But I'll let you guys know next episode when my 1 week off will be. So yeah, thanks for following me along in this journey and being there for all of the fun, exciting moments. I want to try to think of my favorite moments in the past 3 years, but it's interesting. The best episodes, the most high performing episodes have been some of my interviews. And of course, that makes perfect sense. I have to thank Melody Rose. I was just checking this past weekend, actually, what my most listened to episode was. And it was her episode, her interview that I did with Miss Melody Rose from The Outsiders. And that was so fabulous. I just have so many favorite interviews that I've done, so many amazing carpets. This past year, the Drama Desk was really, really rewarding. I also, this year, a new thing that I got to do was the miscast carpet. And I thought that was just amazing. And I got to talk to Cola Scola and meet them. And I can't even believe I'm standing on these carpets and I'm just thinking, thank God for that girl who started the podcast and literally just took a swing. And now I feel like it's totally paid off. I love where From the Mezzanine is at, and I also want to continue to grow it and, take over the world someday, take over the Broadway world. And I just briefly need to say, where we left off last week, I ended the episode and sprinted out the door to make it to the Dead Outlaw rush line. Their rush, it was a Sunday, so it opened at 12, and I got in line at 12:10, and I got seats in the balcony, and it was my last time to ever get to see Dead Outlaw because it is closed now. And I'm so heartbroken, genuinely heartbroken for these shows that have not had a chance to find an audience on Broadway. And we will be talking about one of those shows that was added to the great Tony aftermath of shows that just cannot be sustainable on Broadway and just get pushed to the side by these other huge shows that are just taking over. Happy for the shows that are oh so successful, but it breaks my heart for the shows that seriously took a swing and just couldn't crack it. These shows like Dead Outlaw, Real Women Have Curves, Smash, they just didn't stand a chance. And Dead Outlaw is the one, Dead Outlaw and Boop really, really hurt my soul. Which we'll talk about Boop in the Broadway news, but Dead Outlaw is so, so good. I do certainly think that it took a big risk coming to Broadway. It was extremely successful off Broadway. It won many awards off Broadway. And I think it was just such a smaller scale show that it did not, and it does not have that big Broadway show appeal. And I think that they tried to compensate for that with some of their big numbers, like, nah, I'm an entrepreneur, because it's so good. I love that song. But they have a lot of numbers that I feel like they made really big, or I Killed a Man in Maine or Indian Train, these numbers, those numbers do feel right in a Broadway theater. But a lot of the numbers are just really small, and you have that band on stage in that small little cabin. I love this show. I certainly think it deserved to stay on Broadway so much longer than it did. But I'm also just not entirely surprised it didn't have any big names, which unfortunately is seriously what you need on Broadway right now. If Darren Criss, now I hate to say this, but if Darren Criss was not in Maybe Happy Ending, I really don't see a world in which Maybe Happy Ending would have found an audience on Broadway and stayed open. It's due to Darren Criss's celebrity and endless promotion of that production that brings more and more people in. And of course, once you see Maybe Happy Ending, you have to go back and see it again and again because it's that amazing. And for me, I think Dead Outlaw had a very similar appeal. Maybe Happy Ending was very, very special. That's on its own island. But Dead Outlaw, it's so original. And Andrew Duran is so amazing in it. I'm just heartbroken. But it doesn't have that sexy appeal that is going to get people to come and see this show who are just wanting to see a show on Broadway. You know, somebody's not going to see Dead Outlaw and be like, ooh, let's see that. It doesn't have a recognizable IP. It's about a historical figure that majority of people, I'm going to assume, have never, ever heard of. So, yeah, it's so sad, but it is such a good show. And I wish I could have brought so many more people to go and see it. I wish I could have even seen it more. I saw this show 4 times, a total of 4 times in their very short run. 73 performances at the time of their closing. So, and I had the honor of going to quite a few of their events that they held. And I love this cast, and I cannot wait for part 2 of the album to come out on Spotify. Release it, please. Like, please do not keep it from us. I really hope that the fact that they're closing is not going to like make them pump the brakes on releasing part 2 of the album, because I really need those songs. But I'm so sad. And seeing the show for a 4th time, just as good as the second, because I didn't like it the first time. But the second time I loved it. Yeah. So if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see I have quite a few of the cast member signatures: Andrew Durand, Julian Niddle, a lot of other squiggles and marks that I cannot tell what they are. But that's my little recap of Dead Outlaw. It's really, really sad, but I think we all definitely knew it wasn't going to last long. Once we started seeing the grosses week to week and how it was consistently at the bottom. So with that being said, let's see what is at the bottom now and prepare ourselves for what is potentially to come. Let's get into our Broadway grosses. Okay, folks, we're starting at the tippity top. Our number 1, once again, is Wicked. I'm so happy to consistently now be seeing that at the top of the list. Number 2 is Glengarry Glen Ross. Hamilton is 3. The Lion King is 4. Yep, we're getting back into that summer groove of the touristy shows being at the tippity top. Sunset Boulevard. Are y'all sick of that yet? Comment down below. Just kidding. Don't comment hate. It's not nice. Sunset Boulevard is 5. The Picture of Dorian Gray is 6. This is the week before their last performance. So next week it'll probably even be higher than 6 because it's about to close. 7 is Aladdin. Death Becomes Her is 8. Aladdin being that high, and MJ is 9. So Aladdin and MJ being this high up in the top 10 really goes to show we've got all of those students making their New York trips here in the hot summer. Like, if I were a student visiting New York in June, oh my God, I would be like, get me out of here. I don't want to live here and like pursue a theatrical career here, because who could live under these conditions? It actually hasn't been that bad except for this weekend. This weekend it has been blazing hot. Okay, so 9 is MJ, like I said. Outsiders is 10. Yay! They're back in the top 10. That's due to the fact that Good Night and Good Luck is no longer running on Broadway. O'Mary is 11. Buena Vista is 12. I just want to look at what might pop into the top 10. Gypsy is 13. They had an 83% capacity last week, so not great. Just in Time is doing really well. Also, Maybe Happy Ending is still doing fabulously. I know I saw a comment last week of somebody asking how Outsiders is doing. They're doing great. So do not mind. And let's see what's at the bottom. Wow, Stephen Sondheim's Old Friends is at the very bottom. They're in a tiny theater. However, they had a 72% capacity and they grossed under $500,000 last week. They haven't been doing any press. Or maybe they are. They're just not targeting me because maybe I'm not their like primary demographic. But I haven't been seeing anything for Sondheim's Old Friends, and I won't be seeing it, which is just crazy because it has like Bernadette Peters in it and Lea Salonga. I don't even think I've talked about it on From the Mezzanine much. But I just don't really feel the need to go and see a review show. It could be amazing. It really could. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is amazing. But I'm not like running, sprinting, clawing at the box office doors to let me inside and get a ticket. Unfortunately, although maybe I should. Y'all let me know. Dead Outlaw is also at the very bottom. 74% capacity. Ripped my heart out. And Pirates and Boop are there at the bottom as well. So is the last 5 years. That just blows my mind that they're doing so poorly. Anyways, it's now like the heat of the summer and we're kind of at the dead point of a Broadway season. There's nothing else coming until August. So we have a lot of time. Basically, all of July is going to probably be a lot of casting news for the upcoming fall shows. And hopefully we'll get some new show announcements with all of these amazing shows closing on Broadway. It's just not right, you guys. It's not right. Okay, with that, let's get into our Broadway news. Our first news story. Oh, let me change my tone. Bum, bum, bum. Our first news story is that Boop is closing on Broadway. I feel like I sound like a broken record at this point. For the past 3 weeks, every single From the Mezzanine episode has just been me spouting off about how heartbroken I am that these shows cannot survive on Broadway. And this is no different. Boop is so freaking good. It is hilarious. The costumes are stunning. The score is so boppy. I love the cast. Jasmine, Amy Rogers, put some respect on her name. I know y'all heard me do my Boop recap last week, and at that point we did not know that it was closing, but we knew it was coming soon, and we didn't know how it hadn't announced a closing yet, but now we have it, and it's so inappropriate. And I assessed all of it, I think, on last week's episode of like why it wasn't doing well. And I feel like I was onto something, being that I mentioned how Betty Boop is more of like a sexualized, like really cute, but promiscuous cartoon character nowadays. And this is like a family-friendly show. So the two don't really mix very well. And it might leave an audience member feeling a little confused of like, should I see Boop or is that weird? It's family-friendly. I thought she was like kind of like this sex icon. Am I? No, she definitely is. She's got her cute little dress and her little garter and her voluptuous body and her like big wig. Like she's very like for the male gaze, I feel these days. Like I feel like grandpas have a photo of her up in like their working garage. You know, that's like what I interpret Betty Boop as before I saw this amazing show. So I feel like there's a disconnect in her image. And maybe that's what is just kind of confusing audiences. But nevertheless, it just has not been a success. It will go down as a flop. But here's the deal. I think this is going to be a very successful touring production. This will go on a national tour. So many people will see it. I don't know who else could play Boop the way that Jasmine Amy Rogers does, but I'm sure there are other amazing performers out there who could take it on the road. Jasmine, you need to stay on Broadway. What else can we cast her in? Wait, this is exciting. Okay. Daisy in Great Gatsby has been having a lot of exciting castings. I could see her as Daisy. That would be fabulous. But I want to see her in a big role. What's coming to Broadway that has not been cast yet? I don't know like the characters of a lot of the things that haven't been cast. But whatever she is in, she will be the star of it. I'm very excited about that. I'm trying to think. But she already is like a legend. And I feel like she's at the point where she won't even have to audition for things. In her Broadway debut, she was Tony nominated. Like, come on. She's such a legend. So let's stick to the facts here, guys. Boop will be closing on July 13th. It's so soon. And I'm so glad I got to see it front row center and just relish in the fabulousness of this production. So at the point of its closing, it will have played 112 regular performances, which is more than Dead Outlaw, Real Women Have Curves. I think it's more than Smash got to play. So out of the 4 that have closed, it did stick it out just a little bit longer. But let's take a walk down memory lane of this run of Boop. Though they definitely will go down as a flop, I don't think we should count it out as a complete failure. They had a very, very viral moment. We could see boop, which I know that's not necessarily like something that adds to their success, but I think it did a lot for them. And they definitely milked that, using it on socials and in PR situations. But it did encourage, I think, younger theater goers to want to go see boop. And yeah, I thought that was so fun. They were nominated for 3 Tonys and they won Drama Desk Awards. They won for choreography. Jerry Mitchell, extremely worthy of that win. The choreography is so amazing. Jasmine Amy Rogers won for Best Leading Performance. And she also won it with Audra McDonald. I just am so happy for that moment for her so she could hold her trophy, her award, and see that Audra McDonald had the exact same award because they are both so amazing. And I hope that was like a very validating moment for her. And it made her feel like, this was all worth it, all the hard work. Because I know she's like working her butt off. And they did everything right in terms of their arrival to Broadway. They did an off-Broadway tryout in Chicago. It didn't get good reviews. They changed so much. The Act 2 opener was completely new. And I don't know what else they changed, but Jasmine Amy Rogers says that it is night and day different than what they did in Chicago. And they gave their best try. They really did. And I know audiences are going to be talking about that Act 2 opener for forever. We're never going to forget how amazing Jasmine's performance was as Betty Boop. And I could see this show being huge for not only a national tour, but community theaters, high school, middle school productions. I can see this show like being reformatted into a junior version. And I think it's gonna be remembered for a really long time, despite the fact that they were only open from April to July. But I think that they are a success. And come January, whenever I rank all the shows I saw this year, I have a feeling it's going to be at least in my top 20. I'm not going to say top 10, but maybe in my top 20. But it was seriously so good. Okay, Broadway Besties, our next piece of Broadway news is something that I personally really needed to brush up on because I have been seeing so much marketing and press and social media posts everywhere about this Masquerade. It's a revival of Phantom. What? Why? I don't know. Do I want it? No, I'm not a Phantom fan. Am I intrigued? I feel like I've been force-fed all of this Masquerade. The Phantom would like to see you. Come to his party. And it's written in this black calligraphy on a bright red paper, and it's so fancy and mysterious and weird, and it's creative and attention grabbing, so I'll give them props for that. But what is it? That is what we're getting down to the bottom of today on From the Mezzanine. So, because enough is enough, they released a cast. I think we have all the information we're gonna get before this Masquerade revival comes off Broadway, so let's dive in. I've avoided talking about it for long enough, and we need to educate ourselves. So the press said in a statement, mind you, they are being extremely vague about everything. Here we go. Quote, Phantom blurs the lines of reality, bringing audiences inside and closer than ever before. From the highest rooftop to the subterranean lair deep below the Opera Populaire, guests will be invited to experience the music of the night more intimately than ever before. And when the iconic chandelier rises again above New York City, it will provide more than an illumination with a dazzling display of over 30,000 crystals provided by blah, blah, blah. That is Masquerade, quote. Extremely, extremely dramatic. Okay. What I can discern from this very long statement that is saying so much and so little all at the same time is it's going to be immersive. Highest rooftop to subterranean layer. Okay, are we taking some elevators or stairs? Like we're going all over the place. sounds like, what's that? There was some sort of weird immersive show off Broadway at one point in time where everybody wore masks. And this is sounding very similar. So it's going to be using the same music from Phantom. I have a feeling there's going to be like multiple performances happening in different areas, and you'll like start out at one place and move to the next. And maybe they have like timed entry. It's more like a immersive museum with performances or something. And you'll go from like the top, and then the next like groups will be shifting at the same time. I don't know. It's very weird. The location is literally like an address. It's not like a proper venue or a theater. And the only person that I recognize from the cast, which sue me, I'm sorry, I probably should know more of them, but I don't. It's Nick Walker, who I most recently saw in Spamalot, and I love him. But a lot of the cast members are past Phantom of the Opera cast members. So there's some overlap there that I'm sure is very exciting for Phantom fans. I went onto their website, and it is the craziest website ever. Once again, so vague. But I found a lot more information that I thought I would share with you guys. So there is a dress code, which I kind of love because I used to be the biggest advocate of like dress nicely for theater. I was like, this is my church. You need to respect it and dress nicely. Cut to last weekend, me at Dead Outlaw in blue jean cutoff shorts. Like, I'm sorry. I used to really get dressed up and dolled up for the theater. Now I'm like, oh, it's just another Saturday. But I still would like to, I look nice. Like I don't go in sweats. Okay. But anyways, in terms of this, I do like that there's a dress code because I think that adds to the fun of it. They want you to wear black, white, or silver. No red. Everything about Masquerade that we've seen is bright, eye-piercingly red. But I guess they want you in black, white, or silver. I'm a gold girl, so I will not be wearing silver. And they also want you to wear a masquerade mask, but it also has to be black, white, or silver. And if you do not arrive in a mask, it is highly encouraged that you either buy one there or they have masks for you. And apparently, like they say, it fits over glasses. So they want your face covered, which honestly is really creepy to me. I hate anything like scary. I don't like masks. They freak me out. I'm like, you could be anybody under there. So I would my heart rate would be really high doing this. And I do want to do this because it sounds like unlike anything I've ever done. But that will scare me. I know, like, people in masks, like, what if I get separated from my group and I can't recognize who is who? Like, yeah, the mask thing does scare me a little bit. You have to be 21 plus, but they will be doing 16 plus shows, I think, on weekend matinees. And what else? Yeah, they want you to dress extravagantly to, like, be festive and celebrate the Phantom's return. Would I hate this if I don't like Phantom of the Opera? Or would I kind of love it because of the dramatics that are involved? They even like give you an explanation of what kind of mask you should wear. They're like, lace couture or partially faced masquerade masks are welcome. Wow. They can cover the full face or just the eyes and upper cheeks. It's crazy. Nothing with political likeness, thank God. What if people wear something scary, like an actual scary mask? That's scary. They say if it's inappropriate, they'll exchange it for you. But get this, it's like how cabaret used to be. You get a glass of champagne or non-alcoholic champagne whenever you enter. That's so fun. I love that. So very interesting, very immersive. It's located on 57th Street. I don't know exactly where. It's very bizarre, but previews begin on July 31st. So we're very close. And I most certainly will be going, even though I do not like Phantom of the Opera. They've created plenty of intrigue to where I feel like I have to go. If you guys are interested in this, I would implore you to follow Selena at Spoonfuls of Broadway or Broadway Ben on Instagram or TikTok, because they have been following this closely, posting every single like bit of information we get about Masquerade. So I'm sorry, I'm not necessarily your girl for this, but if you're excited about this and want to find like-minded people, definitely go and follow them on Instagram and TikTok. And I will, once I see this, circle back with you guys and let you know how it was. Oh, also, I just want to mention, I am seeing Heather's next weekend. I can't wait. I have been avoiding every ounce of Heather's content that has tried to be shown to me online, but I want it to be just like the most authentic religious experience in that theater, finally seeing Heather's for the very first time. I can't wait. I hope that I love it. I feel like I'm going to need to see it twice. Like, I'm going to the matinee. Maybe I should just get tickets to the evening too, because I feel like the first time I'm just going to be so like stunned that it's not going to sink in. So I'm definitely going to need to go back. But I can't wait, you guys. I just... Heather. Like, I'm going to have chills the entire time. I love that show so much. And I've been such a fan of it for so many years that I just can't even believe the time has finally come for me to see it live. I just can't believe it. Okay, our next Broadway news story is one of my favorite things that Broadway does, and that is Broadway in Bryant Park. If you have not been to Broadway in Bryant Park before, it is an amazing event. It's 100% for free. And basically, Bryant Park, it's the big park that's behind the New York City Public Library on, I believe, like 40th and 41st Street. And there's this big patch of grass, and they put up a big stage, and all of these stars from Broadway shows come and perform a song. And usually it's like 4 or 5 Broadway shows that perform. And I believe it's from about like 12 o'clock to like 1:30. And I've seen some amazing performances at Broadway in Bryant Park. Keep in mind, it's always in July. I feel like it sometimes even goes into August a little bit. And it is hot, but it's awesome and it's free and it's so worth it. And I'll definitely be going this year because they have, of course, so many of our favorite shows performing. So I wanted to give you all the lowdown on who is performing when. So on July 10th, this is such a good lineup. We have the casts of Anne Juliet, Boop, Hell's Kitchen, Maybe Happy Ending, MJ, and Gatsby. That is 6 Broadway performances. And I'm so excited too because Bryant Park is really close to where my office is. So I just go over there on my lunch break and I'll be able to like go see some performances and then go back to the office. It's perfect. Okay, on July 17th, unfortunately, I will not be able to attend this one because I will not be in New York, but the performances are so good. I'm really sad I'm going to miss it. We have Chicago, Death Becomes Her, Gypsy, Just in Time, Book of Mormon, and Wicked. I will say, like, do not go expecting to see Jonathan Groff. If Jonathan Groff performs, I will be shocked. Oftentimes, it is the understudies. The first time I ever went to Broadway in Bryant Park, it was when Jeremy Jordan was in Little Shop, and Little Shop was performing, and I rushed over on my lunch break, and I was all aflutter because I thought it was going to be the first time I'd ever see Jeremy Jordan and his understudy performed, and I was like, oh, dang it. I was so sad. But that was before I knew that I should not expect the leads to go on. Like, I'm sure Jonathan Groff will not be performing. It will probably be his as understudy, or maybe Gracie Lawrence or somebody else would do it from the cast. Who knows? I still haven't seen that show. I really need to. Like, I wouldn't expect that Audra McDonald is going to sing for Gypsy. You know what I mean? Like, Megan Hilty is not going to go on for Death Becomes Her. It'll probably be the understudies. July 24th, I will be there for this one. We have Hadestown, Hamilton. They'll probably do something really cool for Hamilton. Mamma Mia! We'll get to see Mamma Mia, which is coming to Broadway so soon. We have Moulin Rouge, Six, and The Outsiders. So I'll definitely be there for that one. And it's on July 24th, 2 days after my birthday. So, you know, they're just going to do their little performance to celebrate me. That's so sweet of them. July 31st, we have a whole Disney performance. So we have Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, and Lion King. They do that every single year. One of the weeks is all Disney. So that's exciting. I can't wait. I love Broadway and Bryant Park. It may be hot, but it is so worth it, especially to see all these shows for free. You can go early, set up a picnic blanket, bring some snacks, definitely have water. There's also usually like some cool vendors there that are handing out like food, snacks, water, what have you. And there's also like some cool raffles that you can enter. It's really fun. I would definitely recommend going to Broadway and Bryant Park. So those performances are going to start on July 10th, and our last one is going to be on July 31st. So none are in August, which is probably a good thing because that would be deadly. Okay, Broadway Besties, our last news story is a very small news story, but I did want to mention Chess, the show that we have been following very closely because it stars Aaron Tveit and Leah Michele. They have announced their theater. Tickets have gone on sale, and we know the date they're arriving to Broadway. So let's break it down. Chess is going to be going into the Imperial Theater, which is where Smash just was. This was definitely rumored. We all thought that Chess was going to go in there. And they are. I think it's a really good venue for a few reasons. One, I love seeing shows on 45th Street. It is the prettiest and nicest street that Broadway has. It's fabulous. Of course, it's like kind of on like 45th and 46th. Either way, great street, good location. Not that they need a good location because people will be coming out in droves to see Leah Michele and Aaron Tveit. We're still waiting for the rest of the cast to be announced, and I feel like it's probably going to be like typical Broadway people. I don't think we have any more like really big stunt casting announcements for this show because why would they, right? But I'm super excited to hear more about the cast. And also, I learned that this has a new book. It's not the same book that premiered on Broadway in, I want to say, was it the 80s? I can't remember now. But it's a different book. We have the same music, new updated book, which I think is always good. Sometimes you can feel that a book is so aged, and that's nobody wants that at all, especially not when Aaron Tveit and Leah Michele are going to be acting in it. I want it to be perfection. So the pre-sale did start this past week. I logged on for the fan pre-sale, and the ticket prices weren't that crazy. They were crazy enough to where I was like, I'll see if they have a rush program because I feel like they probably will. And so I did not buy one, but the tickets ranged from, I think that there were some in the very back for like $150 and higher. I bet if you go further into the run, you might find some that are a little bit lower. They're not in the pre-sale anymore. They're just open to the general public. But yeah, Chess is imminent. It's going to be arriving on Broadway on October 15th, and opening night will be set for November 16th. Let me just say, this would be a great first opening night for From the Mezzanine to cover. So, Chess, this is my plea. From the Mezzanine would love to represent on the red carpet and interview Aaron Tveit, Leah Michele, and the rest of the cast and attendees. Just putting that out into the ether because I have never talked to Aaron Tveit, and that doesn't sit well with me. I need to talk to him. I need to congratulate him on his child. And I need to tell him how much he loves me. Would I be able to say any of those words? No. I would probably like smile and barf. No, I could not talk to him. But I would like to be given the opportunity. Okay, I'm not pitching this well. I would not barf on him, especially not if he was wearing a white suit like he wore to the Tony Awards in 2020, okay? I would hold it in. So that's my plea, okay? That's all I have. That's that. I would love to do the red carpet. I would be completely professional. I promise, okay? Anyways, that's my Chess update. Of course, we will continue watching this show very closely because I love a man who stays employed on Broadway, and I feel blessed beyond belief with the fact that my two favorite Broadway boyfriends, Jeremy Jordan and Aaron Tveit, I never have to miss them for too long. They always come back. They always come back begging for more. More applause, please. More applause. And I'm right there because I love them. and their beautiful, beautiful faces and voices. Okay, everybody, before it gets too crazy and off the wheels, this has been your episode of From the Mezzanine. Thank you so much for watching or listening. You can always find these episodes on Spotify, Apple Music, and you can also find the videos on Spotify and YouTube. Please follow me on Instagram and TikTok at From the Mezzanine Broadway. You can find all things From the Mezzanine at www.fromthemezzanine.com. You can become my personal Broadway bestie over on the Patreon for $5.99 a month. I do a little bonus episode chit chat called Meet Me at the Stage Door that you certainly don't want to miss. And with that, guys, I'll see you next weekend for my Heather's review. I can't wait. Bye.